Hi, everyone. Welcome to Take Courage Ministries. I am on tonight with Jackie Dorman. I'm super excited about tonight. Thank you so much, Jackie, for being on.
My pleasure.
So we'll just wait a little bit for people to get on and make sure. I'm going to go ahead and just check that we are on. And okay, I see people hopping on now. So as you come on, go ahead and let me know that you're on. You have to give StreamYard permission in order for us to actually see your name. So you can give StreamYard permission, or you can just stay on. Go ahead, let us know what your name is, who you are, and where you're on from. And you can also go ahead and share this. It's going to be an amazing night. And so I'm just super excited. Hi, Michelle. And I see different people on, but it doesn't show your name unless you give StreamYard permission. So tonight is going to be an incredible night. Jackie Dorman is on with me tonight. And so I just want to introduce Jackie, and then we're going to go ahead and just dive right in. So I'm on tonight with Jackie. She's the author of The Heart Work and also an online mentor, a teacher, a coach. And she's the creator of Married in 12 Months or Less and the 1822 challenge. I'm going to give Jackie lots of space to be able to talk about both of these things. I'm super excited to hear more. And also, Jackie, she helps Kingdom singles get out of their way and also to find love. So I've been following you, Jackie. I'm seeing all of the exciting testimonies of different people that are in your groups and working with you one-on-one, getting engaged, getting married. I have personal friends that are in your group as well. And, we have a mutual friend, Stacy, and she's just spoke so highly of you. So I'm super excited about tonight. I'm excited about what you're doing. I know you're in Austin, Texas, and you're married, your husband, David, and you have 3 kids and a son-in-law.
That's right. Yes. I'm in the frozen tundra that used to be Austin, Texas right now. And I am married. My husband, David, and I, we moved here from the Midwest about 3 years ago. And then all of our kids followed us. We kind of brought the youngest one with us. She just graduated high school. And so she's going to be 20 next month. Wow. She's the youngest. And then we have a 23-year-old daughter that just got married last summer. So we had a COVID wedding, and her husband, they also moved here last summer. And then our oldest son, he moved here after he graduated college. So all of my kids also live in Texas now. So we're super blessed.
Wow. Yeah, that's very special, very unique as well. So that's yes. Amazing.
Yes.
So you're experiencing the cold weather and all of that. Have you been affected at all by it?
We've had a lot of grace. So we did lose our water for a minute, but it came back. And so we've had power the whole time. I know a lot of people are without power and water. Yeah. And so, of course, Texas is just in a situation that it's not used to. It hasn't done this for 36 years. And so they're not prepared. But we come from the Midwest. So this is not a lot of snow for us. So we're like, Texas, you got to get it together here. The grocery stores have been closed. I guess the power grid couldn't handle this. I guess the water situation couldn't handle. So it's not so much that it's out as it's being shut off and turned off and rotated around. And so it's quite a mess. And I know a lot of people are really having a hard time. So Texas definitely needs our prayers.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad you and your family are doing well in the midst of it all.
Well, they're all here. So my kids don't have heat. So they're all at our house. So they're in the other room.
They can pop in and say hi.
Yeah.
Well, great. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on. It's going to be an amazing night. Hi, Heather. Hi, Mom. Hi, Kristen. So great to see everyone on. And so we're going to go ahead and get started, Jackie. I know I introduced you briefly. Is there anything else that you'd like to expound on? I know that you have this challenge, this 5-day challenge that started today. So anything that you want to share, go for it.
It actually ended today. So the one that's open to the public, I have, so I'm the new voice on the #1 radio program in the country, which is called Keep the Faith, Contagious Encouragement. It's heard on over 250 stations nationwide and in Canada. And so I do have a challenge that started today that's for the loyal listeners of that radio program and our partners at keepthefaithandlovestories.com. But I do have a challenge just for people that, find me elsewhere, people that are friends of other ministries and people that want to take my Married in 12 Months or Less. And that challenge actually ended. The 5th day of it was yesterday, but that group is still open for people to join because those replays will be available until this Sunday at midnight. So if people want to jump in that challenge and they want to watch the replays, they want to binge, have like a little Jackie binge and get all the goodness. I'm just going to tell you, and it's not because I teach it, but that, the download, the divine download that I teach in that challenge is fire. It will change your life, especially if you are in the waiting room, waiting for God to send you your Boaz, your Adam. I've heard every name used in that scenario. It will be a game changer for you for sure.
That's excellent. Yeah, we're going to get more into that because I want to hear more about that group and like what people are to expect and how they can actually do that. Before we do that, can you just tell me a bit about you and your background? What led you to becoming, a matchmaker, an author, all of these exciting things that you're doing? Could you just share with our audience?
Sure. And I'll give people the link if they want to jump into and watch those replays. We can put the link up for that. So, it's a long story. It's a long, long story. So I'll just kind of jump in the middle. I met Jesus when I was 22 years old. I had a radical conversion experience. My background before then was that I was kind of like raised by wolves, so to speak. I came from a very, very troubled place, a very broken place. In fact, until I met Jesus, I thought the only kind of heart there was a broken heart. I didn't know any different. In fact, a lot of times, for those of you that are familiar with the National Geographic documentaries, about the wild kingdom, I often felt like that was really a documentary about my life, on the plains of the Serengeti, there stands the giraffe giving birth to their young, and then the predators are like in the tall grass, just waiting to pounce on this baby that's being born right now. Mm-hmm. And that is like my story. I came out of the womb running for my life. And so I didn't know, that you weren't supposed to be in survivor mode or trauma mode or fear response or all the fun things that psychologists have come up with, all the lingo, until I met Jesus. And I was like, oh, wait, this life is supposed to be good. There's supposed to be some rest. There's supposed to be some joy, some love. This isn't supposed to be a codependent carnival. And so when I met Jesus, I was already married. Unfortunately, I was already in a very traumatic marriage. And I stuck in for the next 11 years in that situation, knowing Jesus now. And God just really taught me so many things. Before that rescue mission of being able to be released from that situation and able to step forward into what it is that I do now, I just learned a lot about my heart. Yeah. I learned a lot about why people sit in pews for years and years and years and years, and they love God, and their life doesn't look anything like what the Bible promises. Nothing. So there's no abundance. There's no John 10:10 experience. Okay. They're still broke. They're still lonely. They're still unhappy. They're still sick. They're all of those things. God just taught me so many things over the years, through my own experience. And so then when I got a do-over, and I don't know if do you want to hear my love story? Because
I
Because
do.
I don't teach married in 12 months or less. I lived married in 12 months or less. So after the rescue mission that's what I call my divorce, after I was able to step out of that, I would have gone and sat in the waiting room. I think that that's what all good Christians do. It's like, oh, I messed up. I really dropped the ball. I'm going to have to put myself in timeout for a while. Yep. And that's for sure where you would have found me, except I walked out into my front yard and I met my husband. So before anyone gets super jealous about that story, I yelled at him. So that was our initial meeting. I walked out in the front yard and I had gotten an email that morning that a sex offender had moved into our cul-de-sac, very small little cul-de-sac neighborhood. Yeah. I walked out front. There's a guy moving in. The sex offender is supposed to be moving in. 2 and 2 get put together. And I'm like, look, buddy, I came short of telling him I know who you are. But I did tell him that my little 5-year-old was not allowed to play with his kids, and that if she was at his house, that she was there without my permission. And I was pretty rude. I found out through some other neighbors that he's actually an amazing person and wonderful. They made sure that they told me that because some other people witnessed our little exchange that day. And they were like, hey, he's a Christian. Aren't you supposed to be a Christian? And I'm like, oops, not today. Apparently, I need to do some hard work. And so we became friends. Our kids went to the same summer program. And within 4 months, he made it pretty clear that, wow, if he was going to get married, that he wouldn't have to look very far. Wow. And so I was like, I think this dude likes me. And then 4 months later, we got married. So married in 8 months or less for us. And then that was 14 years ago. And we have an amazing blended family. Of course, there's so many other details. I don't want people to think that it was just like, a walk on easy street, but you don't need easy. You just need worth it. And it has been worth it. And I have obviously learned so much more about the heart work through my own love story. So, but if you really want to know why I do what I do with the heart work, obviously the heart work saved my life because of my broken childhood. If God would have not given me those downloads in my early discipleship, and I think, Diane, you probably can relate to this. Nobody else knew anything about inner healing. Right. Not back then. In the 90s, there wasn't anything. And so if God didn't give me that, I would have died of my injuries. Okay. I was bleeding out and I was going to bleed out because all people wanted to do was lay hands on me and pray for me and take me to another altar call and try to cast demons out of me. That's all, and God bless the church, but it didn't understand what I needed it to understand in order for me to get healing. Absolutely. In order for me to get free. And so God gave me that information, and I absolutely love to see people have that now. Yeah. So that's why the book, that's why the heart work. But the reason why the matchmaking and the rebuilding of Kingdom Family is because during quarantine, after my mom passed away in February of 2020, God just said, I want you to shift all of your focus onto Kingdom matchmaking. And I've always been the matchmaker. In my personal life, I've been credited with 14 matches. Wow. So I'm your wing woman. If you have a note for the boy in middle school, I'm the girl you're going to give it to. And I've always been that way. Always. And, so I love it. I've always loved fixing people up. I've always loved being part of people's love stories. And so when God spoke Jeremiah 6:16 to me in February of 2020, he said, this entire country is going to be at a crossroads going forward. He said, ask me, the Ancient of Days, for the ancient ways. I will show you the good path in this area so that the shalom, so your peace can increase, is what he said. The chaos and confusion of marriage and people trying to find each other and people trying to navigate all the codependent culture that we live in. He said, we're going to erase all that. You're going to use the heart work. You're going to, sell them what they want. You're going to give them what they need. He said, and I am going to cause a massive influx of kingdom marriages like no one has ever seen. And the kingdom is going to advance through kingdom family. And so that's why we're here. And you know what, Diane, he's been true to his word. I've never seen anything like it in my life. The supernatural results that we're getting are supernatural. There's just no explanation for it.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So let's start there. I want to know about the heart work. I want to know about exactly like what people are to expect once they sign up with you. But in before we start there, share some of your testimonies.
Oh gosh, there's so many. So many people are just in their own way and they just don't know it. You know, you can't know what you don't know. And so we help people get out of their own way. You know, they're stuck, they feel invisible, they believe lies about themselves, about men, about marriage, and they're not aware of that. I can't tell you how many women believe that there's just no good men.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, is that what you're going with? That's what you're going to believe. Okay, cool. There's 7+ billion people in the world, but not even, there's not one good man in your neighborhood.
Right.
There's just not. And, you know, these are the lies people tell themselves to try to explain their situation, right?
Yes.
Right. This is the theology that we come up with to try to explain our pain. And it happens so often. And so everyone without fail begins to have what I call a revealing for healing. So people begin to see things. And I know there are so many quality inner healing ministries out there now, unlike the 90s. And I appreciate and bless all of those things. But we really just have something super unique. I call it a tipping point. So even people that have done all the heart syncs and the sozos and, you know, you name it, they've done it. They've tried it. They got the book, the seminar, the cup, the t-shirt. They have a tipping point with us where what they could never accomplish before, all of a sudden is just like, oh, and it just happens. And I know that it's because I was flat on my back for my entire 20s, not 1 year, not 1 month, not 2 years, not 5 years, my entire 20s. I suffered from what people call mental illness. I was agoraphobic. I had severe OCD. The people around me wanted to have me institutionalized. I mean, God really went to the mat with me with heart work. And so I know that the momentum of all of that is carried in what we deliver to our students. I had one student that really believed that men didn't notice her. She was completely invisible.
Wow.
I mean, invisible. Like, you know, people just, you know, slam door in your face. You're coming in. They're not holding the door open. No one notices you. No one talks to you. No one, you know, it's just, you might as well not exist. And that was her identity. And after heart work, and she's a beautiful woman in her 60s, after she did Bride Boot Camp and she came through the challenge and, you know, began to do the beautiful heart work that we do in Bride Boot Camp, she's like, I got to tell you this, and this is really weird, and I just don't want you to think I'm bragging, she said, but everywhere I go, she said, men are looking at me. They're noticing me. They're holding open doors for me. They're smiling at me. She said, young ones, old ones. She's like, I'm embarrassed that these young boys are like catching my eye. They're smiling at me. You know, they're asking me, you know, questions about myself, you know, and I'm like, girl, I was like, it was always there. But I really believe that the law of attraction is biblical. What we believe, we become, and what we become, we attract. And so that's just a simple story. We just had 4 engagements last weekend over Valentine's weekend.
Wow. That's incredible. I saw that post and I put that into our group because I'm like, Jackie's coming on. You know, I've been sharing that you are going to be on the group, but I'm like, they need to know this. They need to see this. So just 4 last week.
Yeah. And that's just last week. I mean, we have so many testimonies of people that have never been in a relationship in their life, their whole life. They've made it to their 3rd, 4th, 5th decade of life, and they're still waiting. I'm like, are we waiting till we get to the old folks' home? Are you going to like meet your spirit mate over some tapioca pudding in the cafeteria? What are we doing here? You know, because they believe this is the big lie. They believe that God has them waiting.
Yes.
That God has them waiting, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that we have to unpack from the very beginning, because I don't believe there are any waiting rooms in the kingdom. I believe that there's a lot of process, however you say it. I'm hanging out with too many Canadians. Process. They say process. Come on, Canada, represent. Okay, process. And, you know, there's preparation, but there's no waiting. Even Psalm 27, they that wait upon the Lord, that word wait is to expectantly prepare. And so much happens when we shift into a preparation instead of a waiting. There's a saying that says those that are waiting are never preparing, and those that are preparing never feel like they're waiting. And so one of the ladies that got engaged last weekend, I scrolled back. She was one of my first bride boot campers, right? She was one of my first kind of did her heart work. And I scrolled back to the messages that we had between each other. And she said to me, I'm this old, she's in her 50s. She said, I feel like this time has passed for me. I'm super discouraged. Even when I hear you teach, I think to myself, oh, Jackie's, she's only 45. What does she know? She doesn't understand, and all these different things. Yeah. So age was the lie that she was telling herself. Yeah. And she's 54 years old. And so I was able to really have a divine download in that moment and say, God says, make room. Isaiah 54. Let's get this stuff out of the way. Let's make room for what it is that you believe is going to happen, right? Because what we prepare for happens. Let's do this. Let's do this work. All right. Let's engage our faith. And so we talked about that in that text stream. And then a very short amount of time afterwards, met the love of her life. She's now engaged. She's headed towards marriage. And it's like, wow. What happens when we partner with heaven and we get out of our own way and really believe that God can do anything?
Yeah, that's incredible. I've been talking a lot lately about partnering with our promise. So it's very similar in language. And I know several people that have come out of this mindset, but also some that are still there in that waiting. Like almost to the point of waiting. Well, your husband was on your doorstep or in your front yard, but I always use that example of like they're literally like in their homes, like waiting for someone to knock on their door and not really partnering, not really expecting that they have to take a step in the process. Like they have to be an active participant in this process as well. So I love what you're saying. There's no waiting rooms in the kingdom. I just think it's incredible. So I've as soon as I started hearing about you, through Stacy and then, checking you out, seeing what you're doing, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm tagging my friends. I'm sending them your info, just because I really have a heart for it. I'll just take a minute here. Like I didn't get married until I was 38. So for me, I know what it's like to wait for a long time and have that desire and walk through the loneliness. And, in my story, I was doing a lot of that heart work for years, and whatnot, but we ended up meeting on Christian Mingle and, I was putting myself out there, but I do have a heart for singles because, I have a lot of single friends and they're desiring that. So I'm excited for what you're doing because I'm like, this is kingdom. And Jackie, there's nothing else out there like this. Like that's so exciting to me.
Yes.
I've never heard of Christian matchmaking, but you're not just doing Christian matchmaking. I mean, you're literally preparing people to do the heart work, to get healthy and whole, like mind, body, soul, and spirit. And then you're creating this amazing space for men and women that are Christians that have already walked this healing process. Not that there's not going to be more in marriage and whatnot, but you're literally helping them and creating a space like no other space. It's incredible. I'm married, but I'm super excited about it.
Well, we're preparing them to be successful. I walked out of my front yard and I met my husband, but I tried to sabotage it every day and twice on Sundays. Even 2 years into the marriage, I was still trying to talk him out of choosing me. I was, until I got a deeper level of heart work. What people don't realize is that the very thing that they're praying and asking for is the very thing that's going to trigger all of the hurt and pain that they have from that same thing. Because what God does is he gives us a certain amount of healing, but then the rest of that healing comes within the thing that hurts you. I call it the hair of the dog that bit you. And so if you're hurt in family, you're going to be healed in family. If you're hurt in marriage, you're going to be healed in marriage. Community, healed in community. And so you have to be willing to step into that thing that hurts you the first time in order to get that full upgrade, right?
Yes.
So we believe in whole in Christ, complete in marriage, healed in family. And that is what we preach at, because we don't really just see this as just a marriage ministry. We see this as a kingdom family ministry. You know, we're a blended family. I have a book on blended families coming out this year called Why Blended Rhymes with Offended. And it is a serious heart work check for those that are going to be getting into blended family. We also have a Married in 12 Months or Less book, and just so many exciting things that are happening because of our radio partnerships and soon to be TV pilot partnerships. I mean, God is really just going boom with this, because this is how kingdom takes territory. It takes territory through family.
That's beautiful.
So,
we'll have to get your book. We're a blended family too. So we were just married 2 years ago. And so I have a 13-year-old and now we have a 7-month-old together. But yeah, we're navigating those things. So I'd love to read that book. And I totally agree with you on this. Like it's beautiful what you said and how you put it. Because I even remember meeting my husband and being like, I've done years of work, inner healing, deliverance, this, and this, you know, and I'm like, I'm so ready. And then it was like 3 months in, all this stuff came up. And I'm like, what is this? Like, this can't be. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, of course. Like, I haven't even been in a relationship in so many years. Like, this couldn't come up being single. This needed me to be in a relationship in order for God to bring it up, heal it. And then once again, in marriage as well. It's like, you know, there's
nothing else could have triggered it besides the threat of intimacy. I call it the threat of intimacy.
Yes, that's absolutely.
I'm going to have to let someone in. I'm going to have to be vulnerable. I'm super triggered. And my husband had to walk through landmine field to get to me in those first years of marriage, even after the I do's. People, and the thing is we don't just walk with people to engagement and to the altar. We walk with them. We walk with them for, you know, the next, you know, we're a community, we're a family, we're building a family of people here. Yeah. And I want to tell you where the guys came from. So of course the women all want to get married, right? Yeah. One of the lies that women tell themselves is that guys don't want to get married. Yeah. And after I started doing this, I was like, you know what? I just want to see if men would be interested in this. I know the women they're getting massive breakthrough. I want to see if the men would be interested. So on my personal Facebook page, not even my public Facebook page, not even to, you know, even though I have a really big warm audience, on my personal Facebook page, I just said, hey, what guys would let me use them as guinea pigs or would be interested in doing their heart work with me? And, you know, I expected crickets. I expected maybe 20 guys. Right. You know, single guys, of course, is what I was putting out there. Yeah. I got over 200 guys in just a week. I mean, just bam. Oh, yeah. They came from everywhere. And so I was forced into the 1822 challenge, which is Proverbs 18:22, when a man finds a wife, and really helping guys unpack what I call the Cheesecake Factory menu. You know, the reason why men are so paralyzed so often is because part of the ancient ways that God has for this subject, for this area of matchmaking, is community, or the 6 degrees of separation. But the problem is that men are presented, and women as well, but it seems to be harder for men. Have you ever been to the Cheesecake Factory? Yes. Okay. This restaurant has no business trying to make all this kind of food. Right. I mean, are you a Mexican restaurant? Are you an Italian restaurant? Do you have cheesecake? You know, every time I go there, I know I like the avocado egg rolls, but all the other 20 pages of food get me confused. Right. And I'm like, I really know that I like this, but yet there's so many options. Like, just give me Chipotle, give me Cava, give me some place where there's 4 things. I know what I like. And that's what community looks like for people. But these poor men, they're like, well, I know I really am attracted. I think I'm attracted to this girl in my community, this person that I met through family or at this thing or whatever. But there's so many others.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, because of the internet, because of television, because of social media, because of all these dating apps, which I also call swimming with the sharks. If you haven't done your heart work, you're gonna be swimming with the sharks on those dating apps. There's just too many options. You're like, well, she was great. The avocado egg rolls were great until I saw this, which, by the way, the Cheesecake Factory has they have no business making that. And it probably isn't any good. And if you order it, you're probably not going to like it. You wish you would have stuck with the fried bar food that they really do make well. And so that is what happens. They get paralyzed with all of the choices, right? But let's be honest. Is that woman really a viable choice for these guys? I'm going to tell you, Diane, the guys come in and they come into my meetups and they're like, well, I'd like to meet her and her and her and her. And I'm like, let's narrow this down. Okay. Where do you live again? How old are you again? Let's talk about, let's narrow this down a little bit. Let's just present you with the options that are reasonable in this situation. And then let's see, because I feel like people just get overwhelmed with feeling like they have FOMO, like they're going to choose wrong. People, that's one of the biggest fears I run into is people are like, but what if there's something better?
Yeah.
What if the thing you choose becomes that thing that's better? Because together you guys help each other get to your highest, most beautiful identity. What if that happens?
Yeah, that's incredible. That's absolutely beautiful. I love how you said that. Now, so what happens when somebody signs up with you? So can you talk about the process? Can you tell us about heart work? What is that? Like, I'm familiar with that, but there may be some people in the audience. And then just kind of share what that process looks like. What can they expect?
So I've taught a heart workshop based on my book, The Heart Work. I've taught that for years. I've been teaching online since 2015. Okay. And so that exists. That is not a product that we're really pushing right now, but it will be available again. Been kind of focusing more on the matchmaking and on, just the kingdom singles and what God's doing here. But for those that are married, you need to do the heart work. You know that you have a contract marriage, but you'd like for it to go into covenant. You'd like to come into intimacy. A lot of people started out in a superficial, like codependent relationship where you were attracted in the soul realm, but now you've been married for years and you're not getting any deeper. We can help with that. The Heart Workshop is amazing for that. That is going to be available again soon in the spring of this year going forward. The other products that we have available is we have the 1822 challenge, which starts on the 22nd. So another round of that. So the guys can hop in there. It's a free challenge. It leads into a special all-male session of the Heart Workshop, which I never thought in a million years I'd be teaching guys their heart work. Is the funnest thing in the world. I love it. So unpacking that with guys. Like I said, our challenge for women just ended the 5th day. If they want to jump into that, I might open the door depending on who wants to get in for them to jump into the radio-based challenge that just started today. We'd have to kind of talk about that. People can DM me and we can see. It'd be easier for them to jump into the challenge that just ended today and kind of catch up. So we have those challenges. The female challenge goes into the bride boot camp. So it's so many different things. It is a full session of the heart work. There's soul tie work in there. There's identity work in there. There's heart syncing work in there. I bring on other mentors and coaches that do bonus sessions in there that have been mentors and coaches in my life over the years. Just really amazing things that happen. There's love stories and love seats and all kinds of fun things. It is an intensive, I call it a scheduled surgery. And so you really have to, it's a scheduled surgery. Instead of having an emergency surgery, you're going to have a scheduled surgery. Okay. So that 2, 3, 4, 10 years from now, you don't have an emergency surgery because you didn't do your heart work. So that happens. people that graduate from my programs have the benefit of jumping into mentorship and matchmaking. I have online singles events. I just finished one on Valentine's weekend. We had over 144 singles of all ages come to that. 2 sessions, 2 different times, and I kind of break up the ages and the compatibility with those time zones. But you guys, it's not, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I hate the Christian meetups because it's all women and no men. Equal number of men and women, okay? Yeah. Lots of viable options. We have several couples talking as a result of just that meetup, several couples that have connected and are now progressing in relationship. Our last meetup before that, we had over 150 singles that happened January, the weekend of the first of the year. Yes. And we try to have one of those at least once a month.
Okay.
I have also partnered with, I am partnering now with Bethel and Upper Room because I live here in Texas. We're going to have a in-person single soiree in April, May. It's the date still being decided up in Dallas. So that's going to be so fun, by invitation only. That's connected to our community. And then I'm going to be at the #1 music festival in the country, the Alive Festival, at Johnny Cash's farm in July in Nashville, Tennessee. And there's going to be a singles stage there. I'm going to be on the singles stage. This program's going to be highlighted there. And then there's going to be a single meetup, some speed dating, some amazing fun stuff. Just so you know, I've heard so much feedback from leaders all over the country that have said their singles have come to our things and have said that they have never been to anything more fun than what we do. And so it's not going to be awkward or weird or boring. It is fun. And because you guys know the Enneagram, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm an 8. I think that's not hard to see. You know, right. I came out of the womb running for my life, but leading other people astray most of the time before I found Jesus. But I'm using that gift for good now. But I have a 7 wing. And so I call myself the Human Mullet. I'm business in the front and party in the back. And so if it's not fun, I don't want to do it.
Right.
It's got to be fun or we're not doing it.
Absolutely. And with what you're doing, you have to make it fun. You have to have personality. And you have to be real. And that's exactly what you are. Like, it's incredible. You're refreshing because you're just real.
You.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're real. And I just think anybody that was to sign up with you would be extremely blessed. Like, I love what you're doing. Now, when they come in, so someone asked a question, and usually we save it till the end, but I do want to talk about this. Heather said you have to do a program to do the matchmaking. And I think I already know that. And can you explain why? So as some of these women and men are on, can you explain to them why you do that?
Well, because that's the whole purpose. You know, you can go down to your Piggly Wiggly, your HEB, your Kroger, and you can find a soulmate. You don't need my help to find a soulmate. You need my help to find a spirit mate. And so we're going to we're going to unpack the reason why. There's a reason why you are, not part of a marriage yet. There's a reason why. And it might be a timing situation. It might be a season situation. But oftentimes it is a inner situation. It's not, you're not stuck out here. You're stuck in here. And so if you want to be married and you've wanted to be married for some time, but something is keeping you from being married and you believe it's this, and this, we're going to find out what it really is. Because otherwise, you're just going to meet someone, and if they're really a good catch, there's a really good chance you're going to sabotage it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to help, you're helping people work through these matters of the heart and identifying what's going on, what's holding them back. Once you've done that, or once they've done that, they've walked through it and they're in like a healthier place, then you begin the matchmaking. And did you mention speed dating or some, some of these different events? But in a sense, like if you're going to host those things, I can see that you're like, no, I want everyone that comes in to be in a healthy place so that they're successful. It's not just about meeting, like you said, a soulmate. It's a spirit mate and being successful in the kingdom together as a married couple.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, one of the lies that I help women especially disconnect from is that if he's from God, I'm going to meet him at church. I'm going to meet him at a conference. I'm going to meet him at, some sort of sponsored spiritual event. And the problem with that is that a lot of people actually meet broken people at those things, but their guard is down because they believe that everyone here is healthy. Right? Yes. Everyone here is worshiping God. Everyone here loves God. And so I can't tell you how many women I'm actually doing restoration work with because they married someone that they met in one of those spiritual atmospheres that actually was a very damaged, abusive person, and vice versa for men as well. And so that's one of the things that I really teach women is to be fruit inspectors and not gift inspectors. Okay. So it's not about whether they buck and shout, depending on what denomination you're from, speak in tongues, raise their hands, worship, prophesy, whatever it is that you're looking at, that you're gauging their relationship with God by. I help them shift over and really look at, what is his character like? What's his reputation like? Who do you know that knows him? First of all, we don't date strangers. Okay. Right. Even if you meet them on an app, one of the very first things we have to do is meet their people. We have to know the people that know them. And I believe that God is making matches within community. And so it's not going to be hard to do that. David and I were strangers, right? We were neighbors. We had never met before. But as soon as we became friends, we realized that we knew tons of the same people. Yeah. And I didn't know this until I was married to him for 2 years. But 2 years before I met him, I was at an event that I got invited to by a friend. And I saw him on a Jumbotron being pranked by his church that he was on staff at. And I asked my friend, I said, who is that guy? I said, I know him from somewhere. And she said, this is who it is. And she said, go to school with him? I said, no, I didn't grow up here. I said, so I don't think that's what it is. I said, but I just can't shake the feeling that I know him really well. Wow. And then 2 years after we were married, I saw that video again and I realized he was the guy in it. And I was like, wow. And I really want to release that, Diane. I want people to know that even though you don't know it, God's working on your love story. He's working on getting you into the place where you can step into this story that's already been written about you. And he's working on getting you in the place and here to do that. Like I read your story, Diane, somewhere. I think you put up something for like the holiday or an anniversary. And you just came right out and said to your husband, look, I want to do this. Yeah. I love absolutely. That. Yeah. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, in our story, like, are you referring to just like I was ready quickly? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know what one you're referring to, because we really love transparency and sharing our story. And that's part of like who I am. But yeah, I mean, I was ready quickly. I felt like he was too, but then it was like, yeah, we got in it and then we're like, whoa, what is this stuff? And we went through a lot of like healing, even in our dating process. Of course. And of course, things coming up in marriage. And I love what you brought up earlier. Like I've had a lot of healing in my marriage from my husband, God through my husband, associated to my past. Like I never thought God would use my husband to bring healing to me in relation to things from my past. Just absolutely. Isn't it beautiful? Like the times that I've cried and I've like received healing in certain moments. And I'm like, I can't believe this is, I'm sharing this. Like even things, you share a ton before, but you're like, wow, why is this coming up again? And it's just beautiful, because that is the difference between, a soulmate and a spirit mate. That's, to me, that's the difference. And I'm always encouraging my friends. Like,
I want you to meet somebody that, like, 100% is surrendered to God, because that was huge to me. Like, I had to know, my husband is going to have a personal relationship with Jesus, and that we'll be able to have those moments where we say, okay, we got to take this up with God, and that we both knew that we heard from God. Like, I wanted
Absolutely.
to know,
Yeah.
my husband is going to hear from God on these situations.
Yeah.
And I share that with my friends that are single. I want that for you, because so much is worked out, and we're learning this more because we're newly married. So much has worked out when we are praying for each other. Like, God,
So true.
show my husband this, or he's praying, show my wife this, or we
My
went.
husband calls it yelling at me in the spirit.
I love that. That's awesome.
He's like, God, you better get your daughter.
Yeah.
You better tell her, I can't talk to her because I represent what hurt her. This was in our early marriage.
Yes.
He represented what hurt me, right? What abandoned me, and so I couldn't hear him because I was triggered.
Yeah.
So he had to talk to God about me so that God would, be that mediator between us, and I would be able to come back and say, okay, I know that I'm in a fear response right now, and I'm sorry. And so many things. But see, that's what we help people do. So Diane, you and I, we went the long way around, but we can help people circumvent this process. We can accelerate it for other people. And that is what we do.
Yes, that's absolutely amazing. So I want to ask you, because I do courage circles in our ministry. So what I do is a lot of, like, one-on-one healing, and walking people through the inner healing, deliverance, coaching, all of that kind of thing. Okay. But also I bring them into, it's held in community as well. That's my heart. And we do some group coaching where they're actually practicing with some of these tools and empowering one another, but getting healing at the same time. So it's been really fun for me. However, a lot of the women, not all of them, but many women that have come through are divorced, and very much what you talked about. They've, maybe met him in the church, but he wasn't who he said he was, and all of that. And so there's a lot of, like, women that have been divorced, and they're hesitant. They, like, want to meet somebody, but they just have that hesitation and that fear. So if they're on now, or maybe, I know we're going to have a lot of people viewing later. Could you just speak to that a little bit? Because I don't know, like, there was one person in the group, and I don't really actually know her nor her story, but she said it's going to take me courage even just to watch, in a sense, and so because pain, things are painful. So I just wanted to know, can you speak to somebody like that? That's like, okay, if I enter this, do I actually have to meet somebody?
No, well, yeah. And that's why we do what we do beforehand.
Yes.
I think that a lot of people need to hear that it wasn't really a divorce, it was a rescue mission. Yeah. Because I think what happens oftentimes is that the woman especially, and the reason why, and I talk about this a lot in my challenge, that's why it's such a fire download from heaven about the divine feminine. Yeah. And part of what makes us the feminine of God is that we have the gift of nurture. And so what nurture will do is it will see the potential, and it will want to bring out the potential of the things around it. And oftentimes, because of religion, because of your childhood, you'll have misplaced loyalty, where you'll hang on and you'll hang on and you'll hang on. Why? Because you're prophetic in the sense that you're the easer of God, and you're seeing the potential of what this could be instead of dealing with the reality of what it is. You continue to try to bring the potential out of it and bring the potential out of it. And you don't want to give up, especially if you have this religious mindset that's over here in your ear saying that, divorce is the unpardonable sin. You can't get divorced. You can't disconnect. It doesn't matter. God's not concerned with your pain. All he's concerned with is his rules.
Yes.
There's so much of a misunderstanding about Abba and his heart for his daughters when it comes to marriage. And so I really just want to speak to those women. And just, first of all, I want to just shame off you.
Yeah.
Not shame on you, shame off you.
Yeah.
I want you to receive that in the spirit right now, that you don't have to feel ashamed of the failure of a marriage. Okay. A lot of those marriages weren't covenant. They were contract situations. They were based on lies. They weren't even based on truth. You can't enter into a covenant when the truth is not known, first of all, right? So you can't enter into a covenant. A lot of people, a lot of religion, a lot of rule-based mentality will say, well, God joined together, let no man separate. Well, God didn't put y'all together.
Right.
You put y'all together. Okay. So we need to own our part. We're not going to turn into victims here, because that's a counterfeit identity. We're going to forgive ourselves for what we didn't know when we didn't know it.
Yeah.
We're also not going to continue to lay in the bed that ignorance made. We're going to lay in the bed that Jesus made at the finished work of the cross. And we're going to begin to receive that grace and that mercy. Can I tell you that your future spirit mate is the person that you're signing up to show the most mercy to of anyone that you're ever going to be asked to give mercy to for the rest of your life?
Yes.
Okay? But first, you have to be able to receive that mercy for yourself. You have to, otherwise you're not going to have it to give. And so now is the perfect time for you to receive that, because otherwise you are going to punish yourself. You're going to sit in the waiting room. You're going to put yourself in a timeout. You always hear that nobody puts baby in the corner, but baby puts baby in the corner all day long, every day, and twice on Sundays. Okay. For those of you church girls, especially.
Yeah.
Right? Love the church. Don't love the mindset.
Yes.
We're kingdom people, and there's always another chance. There's always a do-over. There's always a way. Okay. God makes the way when there's no way. And so I hope that really encourages those of you. I believe that God wants to give you a love story.
Yes.
I believe that God wants to heal your heart. And I believe he wants to heal part of your heart in marriage, the part that was broken. And it probably wasn't even broken in your marriage. It was probably broken in your parents' marriage or their parents' marriage. My mom was married 3 times before I was 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Men never stayed in my life.
Yeah.
That was my understanding of men. They came, they might be fun for a little while, but they always leave. They do not stay. And when they leave a trail of death with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Financial death, physical death, mental death, emotional death. A mom laying in a pool of tears with a bottle of wine, not able to get out of bed or get out of her car. That is my understanding of men until I met Jesus.
Yes.
Right? Until I met Jesus and realized that the love that I had been seeking all my life wasn't actually even a person that was, that didn't have skin on it. It wasn't something with skin. It was something that was so much bigger and better than that. So I really hope that releases some people from their shame. I really felt the unction of Holy Spirit that shame was going to break.
Yes.
That stigma. And that's part of my why, Diane. Your note said that you wanted my why is because my mom, even though she's in heaven, she went to heaven last year. She was an amazing, beautiful woman that all she ever wanted was to be loved and to have a good husband and to have family. And she just chose wrong again and again and again. And, and she made the same mistakes and she had the same blind spots because there wasn't anyone to teach her this.
Yes.
And so that's part of my why, because so many amazing, wonderful women. You're so deserving of love. Men too, you guys that are watching, you're so deserving of love. God wants you to experience this type of love story, and you can have it.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And with Jesus, you can have that. Like you get to write a new story
You do.
from your past. And that's what's so beautiful about it. Because if not, Jackie, if you wouldn't have had this encounter with Jesus, then most likely you would have just kept repeating the
Oh, for
cycle
sure.
that
I
you
definitely
learned
would have.
and that you saw. But that's what's beautiful. God redeems that and he rewrites that story for us. So that's absolutely beautiful. I want to honor your time.
Okay.
I'm going to open it up for question and answer. We'll just take like one or two. So if you have any questions right now, go ahead and pop them in. In the meantime, Jackie, can you just let me know your links and we'll go ahead and get those links in even afterwards. Or Chris will drop them in comments. So just for whatever you want to put out there, go ahead and share.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to get those up for you.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So everyone, if you're on right now and you're like, yeah, I want to know Jackie, I want to know more about this healing and this preparation and, getting shame broken off of me and all of these different things that, she's been talking about. And you have any questions, go ahead and just drop them in right now. Okay, so Lauren's saying, if you sign up for the heart work, do you do it alone or with your spouse? So I'm assuming she's talking about the workshop that you're going to end up providing later.
Yeah, so that is, like I said, that's our classic heart work. It's for anyone. It's not necessarily for singles. You could definitely do it as a couple, for sure. There's no doubt about it. Because we walk with our couples to, like, not just to the altar, but beyond. We do have, now that we have so many couples that are forming and getting engaged, we do have a pre-marriage type of offering within that group. But for those of you that are already married, but you know that you have heart work to do, because most people do,
Yes.
You could jump into that classic workshop when it's available with your spouse. And I think that would be amazing.
That's incredible. And so do you have like a time frame on that, Jackie, or are you just...
We've been talking about it since the first of the year because so many people request it that are already married. And so we're hoping to have that available again by this next month, by March. So it's a lot of groups. And
Okay.
so we're just wanting someone to facilitate that and for us. And so we're building our team right now. I'm sure that you understand that when you're scaling this quickly, team is the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
Yes.
we have so much going on too. And
Yes.
it's like, okay, God, where all of these ideas, all these downloads that you're giving, we need the time and we need the people. So I fully get it.
Absolutely.
Heather's been on a lot, and I know Heather personally, so she was making a lot of comments throughout. And she's asking, do you have to do... Oh, okay. She already asked this, and Jackie had answered that one. So yes, for anybody watching, you do have to do the program in order to get into the matchmaking, because it's been designed a specific way for that. Right. So I know there are some maybe questions up here. We'll see. But I know we're coming to an end here anyway. Okay, Erica said, something you said about getting healing in a relationship was so encouraging. I'm in my first more long-term relationship after being divorced years ago, and I have been feeling so broken because I'm getting triggered. But it was so helpful to hear this as normal. Will your course help me develop confidence in my discernment in relationships?
Yeah. And, we have so many women and men, not just women, that actually sign up that, for the challenge and for the bride boot camp or the men's heart work, that are already in a relationship. They're not looking for a relationship, but they do feel stuck inside. They don't feel like they're going to be able to, go all the way because they're sabotaging. In fact, we we have probably at least 5 or 6 couples within our mentoring group that are couples, but they also have hit a impasse, inside of themselves. So we do definitely help people. Either, I'm not going to say that we're marriage counseling, because sometimes we're marriage canceling, because sometimes people shouldn't be together.
Right.
And, what you think is a trigger is actually a red flag. So, but we do help people take yellow flags and either admit that they're red or allow them to be green, because you're just in a trauma response. So we do a lot of that. So yes, the answer to your question is yes, the program would absolutely help you for sure.
That's incredible. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for being on. I'm super honored. I look forward to getting to know you more.
Yes.
And I look forward to sending more women your way, and men as well. So I'm super excited. We will drop in all of your links.
Okay.
And I'll do some more posting, like in our private group, but also on our public page as well.
Absolutely.
And I would
love for you and your husband to come and tell your love story on our love story segment on lovestories.com. So
that would be incredible. We would love to do that. We actually have in the next month, we're opening up something called the Courage Corner. And it's going to be with Chris and I, and we're basically going to just process just real life through God's perspective and in our relationship. And just we're going to start at the beginning of like where we both were, and just gonna, the process of pursuing and singleness, and kind of walk through each stage of that. So I'm super excited for that. We'd
Awesome.
love to connect with you more.
Okay, cool. Awesome. It sounds great.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you everyone who was on tonight. We'll get you all the information that you're looking for. God bless you. We love you, and have an amazing evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.